Audience, what? What you doing looking at the chapter scrapbook, audience? That's mighty nostalgic of you. There's an awful lot of lessons learned and embarrassing stories in that scrapbook. And we got some of those lined up for you today, and our first ever video for Central District FFA. And today's video is all about leading by example. Now, this is one of the easiest strategies you can employ when trying to lead your FFA chapter if you're an up-and-coming FFA member or an FFA officer. Now, there's two basic strategies to leading by example. I call the first one First Penguin, and the second one your attitude. So, First Penguin, it's all about taking the initiative. Now, this one's all about those penguins in Antarctica. They all huddle up to an edge of a cliff and wait to jump into the water. And then as soon as one of them jumps into the water, the floodgates open and they all follow. See, those penguins are an awful lot like an FFA chapter or an FFA officer team. As soon as one of them jumps in and goes for it, the rest of them can follow. So this is a lot like FFA leadership contests and CDEs. If no one's ever done, say, extemporaneous speaking, then it's unlikely that anyone will do so until that one person, that one special penguin, jumps into the water and comes back and says, "The water's fine." So you have to be like that penguin. You have to jump in and gain that experience. And when you do so, do something where you bring experience back to your chapter. Go out there and compete in extemporaneous speaking or dairy cattle judging. If you go out there and bring experience back to your chapter, you can encourage kids that may have not done something like extemporaneous speaking. After all, how can you ask someone to do something if you aren't willing to do it yourself? So I would encourage you to do this on any unlimited proposition, like contest teams. But I'd caution you doing so on those fun trips, those limited propositions, like FFA National Convention and FFA Camp. I would caution you against doing that because you want to lead them, but not steal an opportunity from them. If there's space, go for it. But if there isn't space, you may want to consider giving your slot up for a fellow FFA member. We want to encourage leading by example and servant leadership. So that brings us up to the next part of leading by example, which is your attitude. You lead by example every day, at all times, with the way you dress, the way you act, and how you present yourself and the way you speak. Now, Jordan Henry out at Washington Leadership Conference really opened my eyes to this particular one. Now, at one point at WLC, we were all on the steps of the Capitol, and the guys, some 200-300 of us, decided that it was going to be a good idea to whistle at the girls in unison, right there on the Capitol steps in official dress. Now, as you can imagine, that's not exactly the image we want to promote as FFA, especially in our official dress. We don't want people associating hooligans with our organization. So after that incident, back home in the community groups, back at the hotel, I said, "Hey guys, why were we acting like such idiots out there on the Capitol steps?" And they all just kind of muddled down to their own devices. Later that day, Jordan came up and thanked me, as if out of the blue. I didn't know what I had done, but apparently I had promoted them to just act more professional. If you act professional, dress nicely, and refrain from profanity, then your members will start to reflect that. There's a quote out there that I really like that's, people will rise to whatever level is expected of them, but unfortunately, they will also fall to whatever level they can get away with. This is very true of an FFA chapter. If you expect your members to do well, and do so yourself, they will start to reflect you. They will become like you, want to be like you, and start doing things like you do. But if you don't act accordingly in public, if you whistle on the steps of the Capitol, then they will start to follow you. They'll do the same. And they'll represent the organization with the same level of effort that you do. So just keep that in mind. If we want to be considered professional and good, then we have to start, then that starts with the leaders of a chapter itself. All right, so after all, how can you tell a person to act more professionally and quit goofing around in public if you don't act professionally yourself? Plus, there's a big bonus here. With leading by example with your attitude, your members don't even know they're being led. You don't have to get on them for, something that your advisor would probably get on them for, like, throwing bottles around on the bus or playing trash can basketball a little too intensely. They just won't do those things if you don't do it yourself and you expect them to act professionally. I'm not saying don't have some fun. Just think about your actions. So that's it for today's video. If you liked our video, then click the annotation in the top right to see our next video when it's uploaded, and click the like button if you liked the video. Click subscribe if you'd like to see more from us. And lastly, leave a comment or video response down below for some suggestions for next week's video. If it's good enough, we'll make it into a video and post it for you. Who knows? Maybe you have the key to the universe or something. Anything is possible with FFA. Have a nice day. Lead by example.